right, welcome back into another weekly video with my guy JaVon. Last week we did the overrated teams. To be fair, we're recording this the day that that's coming out, so we don't exactly know the reaction and reception to that. However, the reception to the underrated teams was, of course, pretty solid, so we appreciate the support that you guys are showing on these videos. Today, we are coming at you with our steaming hot, bold takes for the 2025 NFL season. We each prepared 3 takes, and I want to be upfront with one of the kind of just rules that we had. You know, while these are hot takes and bold takes, we did want to have some true integrity. Every take that we are presenting today, we do believe. So they may not be a 10 out of 10 on the bold scale, but they are a 10 out of 10 on that we truly believe it. But I want to start with what I believe to be a 10 out of 10 take because it has never happened before in NFL history, and I am predicting it too. So I'm predicting something to happen that's never happened before in NFL history. To me, that's a 10 out of 10 bold take. I think for the first time ever, we will have the same 7 playoff teams for back-to-back seasons in the AFC.
Wow.
So that means the Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Texans, Steelers, Broncos, and Chargers will all be playoff teams yet again. I have no new teams entering the playoffs in the AFC, and I know that we disagree here.
Wow.
So that is my first bold take, and I think we could break it down pretty quickly by the division winners.
Okay.
At least the divisions. I think that we could all agree kind of the big 4 of the playoffs over the past 2 years, the Texans, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Bills will all at least be in the playoffs.
Okay.
I think the 3 fringe teams are Chargers, Broncos, and Pittsburgh when it comes to teams that people will want to move in and out. So I'm kind of going to defend those teams a little quicker. My AFC West predictions video already dropped. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but I have the Broncos winning the AFC West. So I think my easiest case for them is they have the best roster in their division. Their defense is top 2. Their offensive line is top 5 in the NFL. I think that Sean Payton's a top 5 offensive mind in the NFL. Bo Nix going into year 2, I believe, could improve. They just locked up Cortland Sutton long term. They have a better run game now with Dobbins and Harvey from what they had last year. Like, I feel they truly improved. The Chargers, I think, kind of stayed net neutral. They lost some talent on defense. They kept some talent. They brought in new talent on offense, but in an AFC competitive playoff race, I'm just not betting against Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert to get into the playoffs. And the same kind of logic I'm keeping with Pittsburgh, man. Every single year, I feel like people just take them out of the playoffs. But ultimately, this Steelers team is better than the one last year. DK Metcalf's an upgrade from George Pickens. Aaron Rodgers, in my estimation, is an upgrade from Russell Wilson. Caleb Johnson is an upgrade to that running back room. Jalen Ramsey is an upgrade to that defense from Minkah Fitzpatrick. So those teams got better. I don't see them falling out of the playoffs, especially a guy like Mike Tomlin, who just doesn't lose football games. Had no losing season in his career. I would be shocked if this was the first one.
I mean, I understand your take, and it's kind of, I mean, I would say it is a 10 out of 10 because the same exact playoffs or
I don't think the seeding is the same, but the teams are the same.
Well, the same exact teams is kind of crazy, but
it's never happened.
Honestly.
And it never happened back when it used to be 6 teams either. So this would be the first time in NFL history, and I'm kind of getting like an extra team in there from where most of the previous NFL history had been.
Yeah, I feel like you would get extra points for that, but I feel like it will be a lot. I can't see it happening because you'll hear about it in my first take. But honestly, like when I look at the teams and like the way they're constructed, the AFC got a lot better, and all the teams that were mid last year are kind of really good this year. So I feel like depth matters a lot more in this upcoming season. And like you say, you think the Steelers are a pencil or not a pencil or very likely to make it. As a Steelers fan, I wouldn't say that because I look at the depth of this team, and we had the depth on defense, but if DK Metcalf gets hurt, what is our offense going to look at? look like.
Well, Jonnu Smith brought into the team.
I mean, yeah, we have like
no.
3 or 4 tight ends, but like we have Calvin Austin at wide receiver 1. And like,
I do see what you mean. I think that like many NFL seasons, health will define a lot of things, but health will certainly define the AFC in a conference that has a lot of good, viable teams as we go into it. There really are 9, 10, maybe even 11 teams that I think could push for the playoffs in the AFC, teams that I don't have in the playoffs, that one of them I know we're going to talk about coming up, but the Bengals, the Raiders, the Patriots, like I think the Dolphins, like those teams could all certainly be in the mix. And if you told me that any of those teams ended up being wild card teams, it wouldn't shock me at the end of the day. But when I look at the rosters and I look at the schedules, where I came out was with the exact same 7 teams, which is crazy because usually there's at least 2 to 3 new playoff teams per conference each season. But I think the NFL is becoming a little bit more like the NBA in the sense of, as it becomes a more offensive shifted league, the star quarterbacks and the star players matter more. And it's a little bit easier to predict which teams are going to be good. There's a little less of variance.
Yeah, I'm just like, I feel like depth is going to matter a lot more as opposed to prior seasons. Like, I don't know, but we'll have to see. But as constructed, we all know injuries is going to happen. But as constructed, I mean, that is a pretty spicy take because it's never happened before. And I don't think anyone else has thought of something like that. That's honestly insane.
I think it's a weird take. And I think when you say each of the individual teams, none of it sounds crazy. Yeah. But the take as a whole has never happened in NFL history. So I'm standing on that it is a bold, hot take. But let's hear your first bold, hot prediction. I think if you're going to go with the one that we all kind of know, you've been teasing at it for weeks now, and it immediately conflicts with my first take.
Well, yeah. So my first hot take is I got the New England Patriots winning their division over the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins. I have them winning their entire division, And the thing is, this season is going to be, completely reliant upon Drake May and his ability to show that, he's worth the draft pick or the position that they drafted him at. But I feel like the New England Patriots are the most improved team out of anybody else in the NFL. They're the most improved team, at least on paper. Their secondary or their defense as a whole, I feel like is going to be a top 10 defense in the league this year. Their offense doesn't have to be a top 10 offense, but if they can somehow manage to get a top 12, a top 13 offense in the NFL, they will make the playoffs. And I think they'll win their division because I don't know. Everyone wants to pencil in Josh Allen to win his division. I think it's going to be really hard to just continue to win year after year after year if they're not really adding significant talent on the roster as well. And other teams in the division are getting better.
Yeah, I mean, the pushback argument for why the Bills will win the division is obviously pretty easy because that's why this makes it a hot take. So I'm not even going to bother countering with that. When we look at New England, obviously Drake May for a full season going into his second year is an improvement over what they had at quarterback last year because remember, Jacoby Brissett started the year and Mike Vrabel in at head coach is a clear improvement. So you improved at the 2 biggest spots in football, quarterback, head coach, usually a good sign that your team is going to be better in the next season. You drafted what looks to be a pretty solid left tackle in Will Campbell to protect Drake May. Great move there. The receiving core, Stephon Diggs is looking healthy. Kyle Williams has been making noise at practice. And then you got a boatload of wide receiver 3s on that team. I think Pop Douglas will probably be the guy. Hunter Henry. That defense adds in a Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, hopefully healthy. You brought in a Harold Landry. You brought in Robert Spillane to hold down the linebacker position. In that secondary, like you mentioned, I think it's a top 6 unit in football. Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers, really, really nice pieces. The one thing that held me back on New England was the offensive line outside of Will Campbell is pretty bad on paper. Their next best player, I would argue, is Morgan Moses. And what are you going to get from him at this point?
Yeah.
It would take the offensive line exceeding expectations and hopping into a top 20 to 15 spot for me to think that the team has a real shot at winning the division. That's also kind of the spot that really held me back from pushing them to the playoffs, just because I do think Drake May is going to have some ups and downs this year because of that offensive line. I still think that they're going to double their win total from last year and get up to that 8-9 win range, but that's where I had them missing the playoffs. But listen, if things break right for them, Milton Williams becomes the star on the defensive line. That secondary is what it is. Will Campbell's a strong enough left tackle that the rest of the offensive line gets better by comparison. Better coached Mike Vrabel, Drake May taking a step. Like, I know that's a lot of things, but if you had gone into last offseason and hopped up here on a microphone and said, Bo Nix is going to lead the Broncos to the playoffs, Jaden Daniels is going to lead the Commanders to an NFC championship, and Sam Darnold's going to win 14 games, everybody would have called you crazy too. Like, there are surprise teams, and I don't hate the Patriots as a shot because they improved their roster so much.
I mean, yeah, honestly, the Patriots improved in every single positional group except what tight end. They have Hunter Henry there, I think. So
and Austin Hooper, like they already had a pretty solid tight end room.
Yeah, but they've improved, and these are just not like improvements. Like these are unproven players. These are veteran players that they bought in who've been a part of a winning culture as well. But it's not even that. We talk about the Patriots offensive line. Drake May in the games that he started was one of the better scrambling QBs. They went out and got a pretty good receiving back in TreVeyon Henderson
He was really mobile at UNC. They didn't really use him in his mobility as much as I thought they could have last year. Like, he was fine in scramble drills, but I think there should be some more designed quarterback runs for May. And like you mentioned, TreVeyon Henderson, one of the better pass blocking running backs in the draft. So I think there's creative ways that they could protect him a little bit more, make him a threat to run the ball, make it so that, the defensive lineman can't just pin their ears back, have TreVeyon back blocking. Like, so there are ways that they can get around the bad offensive line and maybe make a push, like you're saying.
Yeah, I feel like they did what they could, and they constructed this team. They gave him a really good defense. They went out and drafted a running back. They got a veteran receiver who's good at route running and good at all the intermediate stuff. They got a downfield threat as well, and Mac Hollins as well. They really built this team. They tried their best to build a complete team, and I think this team can set the league on fire this year.
Yeah, I think you could argue it's the deepest wide receiver room in the NFL. Not the best, but but Diggs, Williams, Kendrick Bourne, Pop Douglas, Mac Hollins, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, Kayshon Boutte, like that's like 8 guys that like could realistically play. I mean, Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, we'll see what they are, but they have some dudes. At the end of the day, there's no denying that picking them to win the division over Buffalo, though, definitely makes it a hot take. I would say picking them to make the playoffs would not have been, but saying that they're going to dethrone Josh Allen, I don't agree, but I think that's what makes it a bold take, right? Like, it'd be weird if we were both up here like, I completely agree with you on an episode like this.
And you know what? I'm not saying that Drake May is going to outplay Josh Allen this year, or that Drake May is going to even be better than, I don't know, Brock Purdy or a top 10 quarterback. I'm saying if he can have like a Sam Darnold type season, maybe.
They play a 4th-place schedule.
Yeah, with the supporting cast that they have, and
I think they're favored in 11 games, right? Is that what it is? So they have like a schedule that could result in, hey, we won 11 games, Buffalo won 11, and we had the tiebreaker.
And I don't know, what were they, the last in their division last year, right? Yeah. So I don't know when was the last time someone in this division went worse to first in the division, if it's ever happened.
I mean, in this division, I have no idea. Yeah, Brady just dominated it for so long.
Yeah,
and Josh got there after Brady. Like Brady won the division while Josh was still there, so it wasn't like the Bills drafted Josh and went from worst to first. So it's definitely been a while. But speaking of teams that went from worst to in the playoffs, my second bold take, which was kind of featured on our overrated teams video, and this is the one that I told you I think is not a 10 out of 10 bold, is I have the Washington Commanders missing the playoffs completely out of the playoffs. I think the NFC is pretty loaded. And I think that there's some really, really good competition. I think in their own division, Philly is a better team. I think we saw that in the NFC Championship, and we saw that at all times when Jalen Hurts was healthy while they were playing each other. You look at the NFC West, and now the Niners are healthy. The Rams are still really good. You look at the NFC North, and all four of those teams, the Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears, could all be playoff teams. Tampa Bay, we talked about, is really good. Atlanta's got some promise. And I, in my playoff predictions, have the Commanders at 10-7 out of the playoffs. That's how good I think the NFC is. So it's not really to say that the Commanders will be terrible, but I do have them taking a bit of a step back and having them fall out of the playoffs if everybody's completely healthy. At the end of the day, I think this team benefited from a fourth place schedule. I think this team benefited from teams not knowing what the hell Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury were week to week and not having tape on that. And when I look at the roster from last year to this year and everything going on with Terry McLaurin, I'm still baking in that he's going to play with this prediction. But if he doesn't, I feel even more confident about it. But, you know, the defense doesn't impress me. Von Miller's the best player on the defensive line, and he's 50. The secondary doesn't impress me. I like Mike Sanders still, but don't tell me Marshawn Lattimore, man. The guy's hamstring is hanging off the bone. They lose Jeremy Chin, who was a leader in that secondary. Bobby Wagner. I mean, he's been ageless forever, but eventually, right? Eventually, right? And the offense. I don't know. Debo, how many games can you really pencil him in for? They lose De'Ami Brown, who I do think was a solid piece. They didn't add a dynamic runner. Like, I like Brian Robinson, but Austin Eckler, another one. How long before age catches him? That offensive line did actually make some good moves in Laremy Tunsil, and they added in the right tackle from Oregon. So I think that was good for them. And Jaden's really solid. The biggest concern that I have is kind of something that's already happened previously. Cliff Kingsbury, does he have a second gear? He didn't have a second gear his first stint in Arizona, and that's what led to him losing his job. And if he doesn't have a second gear with this team, with the weapons that they have, especially if Terry, isn't playing. But even if he is, he hasn't been training. He hasn't been practicing. Yeah. Like, that is really skyrockets his possibility of a soft tissue injury because he's just not at 100% when everybody else is. And tougher schedule. I have the Commanders missing the playoffs.
And you know what? That's kind of crazy. For a team going to the conference championship to missing the playoffs. I mean, man, that's honestly insane. But like you said, like their offensive line did get a little bit better. It got marginally better, but their run game didn't get drastically better. You're going to be asking Jaden Daniels to do a lot more, and teams have a whole year of film on him now. And like you said, he may not even have his go-to weapon. And there's, like you said, there's teams like the 49ers who everybody assumes is going to make the playoffs this year. There is a sleeper team, the Falcons. Yeah, everyone assumes that the Falcons aren't, what they think they are, but we don't know what they are.
I also didn't mention them, but I predicted Washington to finish better than Dallas. But Dallas with a healthy Dak Prescott, I don't think is a team to sleep on.
And a healthy defense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't know, man. And those are what we got: Dallas, the entire NFC North. I mean, come on,
Philly. Now. That's 6 teams right there. Atlanta, Tampa Bay, 8. The Rams, the 49ers. Like, that's 10 solid teams in the NFC. And when I look at Washington, they're not playing a 4th place schedule anymore. They're playing a 2nd place schedule.
Yeah.
People have film on Jaden Daniels, have film on Cliff Kingsbury. That is something that usually results in a bit of a sophomore slump, as you call it. Some of their higher-end players that they count on to be productive are old, man. Zach Ertz, Austin Eckler, Laremy Tunsil, Bobby Wagner, Marshawn Lattimore, Von Miller. Like, these are some old guys on this team that they're relying on to be good, and the depth is not there. If Deebo Samuel gets hurt, which, come on, like, let's be honest, Deebo's not playing a full 17. We're looking at Noah Brown and Luke McCaffrey. Yeah, I'll just throw 2 on Terry McLaurin and let Zach Ertz beat me all game, I guess.
If he's there. I mean, this could go from bad to worse really quick. Yeah. So this take, I would say it's a hot take, but I mean, I can.
That's why I said this was my Of the hot takes that I have, this was the coldest.
Yeah, I can definitely see it happening, but like, I honestly, you ask a random NFL fan, I don't think they would think that, So,
No.
yeah, I mean, and you look at their division alone, like,
I mean, before we hopped on the pod, I saw somebody's predictions had the Commanders going to the Super Bowl. So, point being, me having them missing the playoffs is definitely not conventional.
The Commanders going to the Super Bowl would surprise me more than the Commanders missing the playoffs. Honestly.
I mean, yeah.
Honestly.
Me too, for sure. Let's hop into your second hot take here.
Yeah, but yeah, for my second take, I think Dak Prescott is going to finish the season as a top 3 quarterback statistically. So I don't think
some Dak love.
And like I said, I want to say like a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, I think George Pickens is a top 10 receiver.
I want to pause real quick and ask you, what category are you referring to? Just passing yards, passing touchdowns, just overall?
I think the season that Baker Mayfield had this past season, I think that would be like Dak Prescott. He would. Baker Mayfield was what? Second in NFL in touchdown passes, tied with Lamar. I want to say he was top 5.
Baker was 4,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions.
And hey, that sounds like, I mean, that would be a Dak Prescott career year, damn near.
I don't hate this take.
Yeah, and I mean, what they got: CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, George Pickens, Kevontae Turpin, Jonathan Mingo. The weapons
just extended Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean, and that run game is, I don't care who they got back there, it's shot. So, and I think I seen Tyler Guyton could be out for an extended amount of time too.
So they originally thought it was a torn ACL, but it is not. It is a fracture, and he should be good to go by week 3 or 4 at the latest of the regular season. Okay. So they'll be without him probably for the Eagles game to open up the season, and then maybe he misses week 2 as well.
I mean, regardless, with their schedule, even if they do have like a third place schedule, like even if they do have a third place schedule, their division alone, they're not going to win their division. They're probably going to be trailing in a lot of those games. It wouldn't even surprise me if they was trailing a game or maybe even both games against the Giants. That would not surprise me either, because the Giants have a really tough defense, and the Cowboys are notorious for getting banged up on their defense, so they can't really stop anybody from scoring either, But I think Dak Prescott is going to have a top 3 season statistically this year, and honestly, this is really just me rooting for George Pickens. I'm not gonna lie, but I really want everyone to see. I know there's a lot of Steelers fans, but I feel like people were just caught up in the amazing catches he has. Like, he had a couple his rookie year, but then he'll have like 1 or 2 each season after that. I think this year he's going to put it all together and prove that he can be a number 1.
There's no doubt Dak's the best quarterback he's had in his career. I think anybody would say that. I think what you're suggesting here is Dak, in my eyes, this is Dak's path to it, the Joe Burrow effect. Hey, my passing offense is really good. There's me and some really good weapons. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, you could say it's a top 5 wide receiver duo in football. And we don't have a run game, and our defense is okay, but it's not what it once was. So we're going to have to be throwing in the fourth quarter of games probably. And the passing offense is going to be most of the offense. So, you're not going to have what Philly has, where, hey, fourth quarter to put away the game, let's get the ball to Saquon. What San Francisco has, hey, fourth quarter to put away the game, let's get the ball to McCaffrey. Even what the Rams have, let's get the ball to Kyron Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs. Like these premier teams in the NFC, they have run games to rely on. It's going to have to be all Dak Prescott driving that offense. And for good or for bad, he's going to be throwing the football late into these games. And if he stays healthy at a high volume, like we've seen Dak do it before.
Yeah, I mean,
so I don't hate it.
He's already he doesn't scramble as much as he used to in his earlier years. And I'm not saying
coming up another ankle injury, I think he is going to be Peyton Manning in the pocket.
Oh yeah, he's not leaving that pocket. And I'm not saying that his stats are going to be meaningful, but like you said, he's going to be trailing in a lot of those games, and he has a legit 2 weapons now. I don't know. Honestly, I think that duo is top 3, top 4. It's up there. I'm very high on George Pickens.
Yeah, I mean, not to get into wide receiver duo ranking, but I would say definitively above them, I have Jamar and T, AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and we could have a conversation about Tyreek Hill and Waddle. But
I thought you was going to talk about Puka and Devontae.
And Puka and Devontae. So I think that's where I think the mix is.
I definitely think they're better than Tyreek.
Well, yeah. I would lean them as well, but I would lean Puka and Devontae. So I guess I'd still have them 4.
That's reasonable. But I mean, I know for sure one thing: the Dallas Cowboys are going to be fun to watch this year. I can promise you that. Regardless, with the Micah Parsons drama, with the George.
If they lose Micah, because now I'm seeing trade rumors. Man, that defense isn't going to do anything. Dak's going to really have to be throwing all game. That man's going to have no choice but to throw all game.
Yeah, he's going to be Joe Burrow 2.0. Basically.
Not make the playoffs, but a top statistical leader at the QB position. And we'll be all chanting, get Dak help. So that brings me to my last and final bold take for the 2025 NFL season. I think this is spicy, but again, I'm having fun with it. If my life depended on it, would I make this prediction? Maybe not. But my 2025 NFL MVP is none other than Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield to win the MVP award. So, what do you need to win the MVP? I guess we could start there. Stats and wins. And a story. Stats, we just talked about him. Baker Mayfield last year, 4,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns. The 16 interceptions wasn't good. So Baker needs to cut that back. If Baker could throw for about 200-ish more yards, get up to 4,700 passing yards, maybe get to that 45 touchdown mark, and get under 10 interceptions, statistically, you're there. And when you look at his weapons, Mike Evans, healthy Chris Godwin, they just drafted Emeka Egbuka. You still have Jalen McMillan, Bucky Irving and Rashad White, K-Dot, a good offensive line where Tristan Wirfs should be back. You look at this offense and it's like, okay, there's certainly enough pieces around there. We saw him do it last year. Wins. Tampa Bay has been rolling in this division for years now. I think 11, 12 wins is certainly on the board for Baker Mayfield. Story. Well, when you look around the league, I don't think the Bengals are going to be good to give it to Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson, seemingly voters didn't want to give it to him last year. After getting all the backlash of giving it to Josh Allen, do they want to give it to either of them? Especially when they can't make a Super Bowl because Mahomes is in the way. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, Rashee Rice likely getting suspended. His stats are probably going to look pretty similar to they have the past couple years where they're not really dynamic. Okay, in the NFC. Well, Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley kind of cancel each other out.
Yeah.
Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs have kind of been canceling each other out. Baker Mayfield, to me, has a really clear pathway that if he could elevate his play just a little bit, he will be in MVP conversations. Former number 1 overall pick, was on the Browns, turned it around, had that game with the Rams, goes to Tampa, finds a home, keeps on winning, keeps on improving. 3 offensive coordinators, 3 years, doesn't matter. The offense is still firing. Everybody loves Baker Mayfield. He's a certified dog. Give him the award. 25-1 odds.
And you know what's crazy? That is a crazy sleeper take. Because when you think about it, like you brought up, like all the other quarterbacks, nobody wants to give the MVP to Mahomes, Lamar, or Josh Allen no more. The league is like...
I think they would give it to Mahomes. I don't think the stats will be there. And I wonder if after all the debate last year, there's just voter fatigue on Lamar and Josh.
I don't think they would give it to Mahomes unless he had like a 50 passing touch, unless he had the number 1 offense in the NFL like he did the first year Tyreek left. Like I couldn't see that happening, or with Josh and Lamar, just because of, like you said, voters fatigue, and their weapons are incredible, man. They're in a pretty easy division. They should dominate that division, even with a veteran defense that's not all there. It's not amazing on paper, but they know how to make plays.
I think the defense is good enough to win games, but also not good enough that there'll be games that are shootouts to inflate Baker's stats.
Hey, they know how to play together. And there's been high praise on Emeka Egbuka as well. I mean, we don't know how Godwin's going to be, so maybe they drafted his replacement. We don't know what Godwin's looking like, but
I think Egbuka leads that team in receptions. I don't know if that's like a hot take, but I think that's what happens. So maybe you just got a 2-for-1 out of me.
Hey, that would be a 2-for-1, and Mr. Consistency is over there too, and Bucky Irving is good enough to where he's not amazing, but he's good enough to where Baker can still shine.
He's good enough to where the offense is going to be good, but he's not Saquon, Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, where he's taking the credit.
Yeah, and he's a good pass catching back as well, which benefits Baker.
So is Rachaad White.
Yeah, and we were talking about deep wide receiver rooms. Hey, bro, the Buccaneers are up there.
Yeah, they're 4 deep in terms of really solid wide receivers.
They might have the best wide receiver core in the NFL. If we're being honest,
it's possible.
They might have the best wide receivers up there too. I mean, it's crazy, but honestly, that's a pretty fire take.
I mean, for the odds, 25-1, I love the bet. Even if you don't fully believe in the take, I love the odds, but I'll commit to it. You could pencil me down for Baker Mayfield for MVP.
I mean, shit, he was a top 5 quarterback statistically last year and added the best receiver in the draft. So that could definitely happen. But nobody, when you think MVP, you only think, oh my gosh, Lamar Jackson. Oh my God. I mean, I feel like people would even think Matt Stafford over Baker right now, currently, So
yeah, I think statistically, like you mentioned, Baker was top 3 last year. He went to the Pro Bowl. I think the 16 interceptions really pulled him out of conversations, and Tampa struggled a little bit. They had a little bit of a lull and I think if this year they come out the gates better, the NFC, I think, will be very competitive at the top because Philly's got a tough schedule. Every NFC North team has a tough schedule. The Rams have never been a regular season warrior team. The 49ers got some spots to find their footing. I think Baker could lead Tampa to a 1 seed. I really do. It's on the board. And if he does that with the stats he just had last year and cuts down on the picks, it'd be hard not to give him the award.
A number 1 seed. Whew. And a lot of those picks were like early on, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say he had like 8 or 9 picks in the first half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he finished with 16. So that was just way too high to be involved because like Lamar finished with 4 and 3 of them weren't even his fault. So you're going to have to really cut down on the picks. But I think Baker, with the weapons he has for the value and odds, I'll go all in on Bake Show.
Hey man, that's a sleeper right there. And honestly, I'm rooting for him too. I don't know who
that's
my MVP is.
That's what I mean, though. The story, people like to root for Baker. So I have Baker MVP as my last take. What's your last hot take? Last bold take?
So for my last hot take, I know you said you have all of the same teams making the playoffs, but I'm sorry, I gotta bump the Chargers out of there, and I'm gonna replace them with another team in their division. The Oakland Raiders. So
the Oakland Raiders, back to Oakland Raiders.
They're always the Oakland Raiders to me. I'm not going to call them the Las Vegas Raiders. I swear. That's going to be my thing. They're always going to be the Oakland Raiders. But yeah.
Las Vegas Raiders to the playoffs.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, they don't have the spiciest team on paper, but I do believe that they're building a culture. They have good coaching now. They have a brand new quarterback who can get the ball to the playmakers. They have the best receiving tight end in football. Their defense, they have some sleepers. You talked about how much Jeremy Chin meant to the Commanders football club last year. Well, guess what? He's coming into Oakland. He's starting right now. They know how to stop the run. This team, I mean, they'll be able to get to the quarterback at a decent rate. I feel like they'll be able to hold it down. But I do think Ashton Genty is going to unlock something new in this offense. They don't have all the receivers that stick out, but they do have Brock Bowers. They do have one of the most underrated receivers in Jacoby Myers. But honestly, man, and this is not a knock on Justin Herbert, because Justin Herbert, like, when you watch him play, you think like, man, there's some games like, dude, like, there's no way there's 3 quarterbacks in the NFL better than this guy. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, man. Like, and I don't think the same teams are going to make the playoffs. Like, well, 2 of my takes have new teams making the playoffs in the AFC alone. But
even further proves my original take being super spicy.
And there's always a team that comes out of nowhere and shocks everybody. Last year it was the Commanders. I think this year they're not going to be the Commanders, okay?
Yeah.
But I do think that the
Broncos, they could be this year's Broncos.
I do think that the Oakland Raiders can make the playoffs. I do.
Yeah. So I actually just did an AFC West preview on the channel. So I just did kind of my version of a deep dive onto the Raiders. I had them finishing 8-9. A lot of that was a product of just how tough I felt the division was. But offensively, I think that they have top 10 offense in the league potential with Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, a pretty solid offensive line, Jacoby Myers. I like Jack Betch, who they drafted. Like, there's certainly pieces there. Chip Kelly calling this offense coming into the NFL could kind of have a Cliff Kingsbury-esque effect where guys don't really know what they're scheming against yet, and maybe the Raiders get hot with the talent that they have. The offense doesn't concern me. It really is the defense, man, especially now with everything that happened with Christian Wilkins. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on there, and I don't want to touch the situation with the 10-foot pole. But all I do know is the guy that they signed for that contract and who was supposed to be in the middle of their defensive line just isn't going to be there. You do have Max Crosby. You have a Malcolm Kuntz on that defensive line who is coming back off a torn ACL. So how effective will he be early on? I do think that their defense really is going to rely on generating a pass rush because I don't love their secondary. But you brought in Pete Carroll for a reason, man.
Yeah.
His job is to fix that defense. And if he can get them to, again, a top 20 to 15 level, they could be a playoff team. Absolutely. Your take, I feel, is more of a bet on Pete Carroll than anyone else.
It 100% is. And their old line is a serviceable old line. They have okay weapons. They are not throwing trash out there on offense. They're
going to be a run first team.
Exactly. And you have to be able to run. I would bet more money on a team like the Raiders than I would on the Cowboys making the playoffs, just because of their coaching and just because they can run the ball. If last year proved anything, especially in the playoffs, is that if you can't run the ball, you're not going to be successful long-term at all. And I do think their defense they lost a big piece, but they bought in some sleepers as well. You know, Tyree Wilson, I know they drafted him a couple years ago. He hasn't panned out to what they thought he would be.
You're bringing a Pete Carroll hoping that that's the switch. I mean, what the defense was ranked, what was it, 7th 2 years ago under under their previous regime. The head coach is losing Antonio Pierce. Sorry, had a brain fart there. But like, they had a defense a couple years ago that was good. Now they did lose guys in that spot in Jack Jones and Robert Spillane, who I do think were big pieces. But a healthy Max Crosby can drastically improve a defense.
Not to mention that the former Steelers linebacker Elandon Roberts was one of the best run defending linebackers in the game, in the whole league last year. They bought him in. I
like Eric Stokes as well.
Yeah, Jamal Adams. I mean, he's an old name, but he will be in.
If he could stay healthy, but that's always been his thing. So who knows?
I mean, I don't even think he's going to start right now because, Jeremy Chin as well. I mean, they got some serviceable pieces, and I feel like Pete Carroll can elevate this defense, and that offense, I do believe, is going to be pretty solid as well.
Yeah, I don't hate it in terms of on the hot take scale. I think it's like a 6-7 out of 10. I don't think it's the hottest take, but I also think that, they're not favored to. So
I'm surprised you wouldn't have that a little bit higher. Yeah, because their division, man, people have the Chargers winning 12 games. People have the Broncos winning at least double digits, and the Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs.
No, so I think it's a 7 out of 10 hot take. Okay. We'll see if it happens again. I think that the way that you said that the Cowboys are going to be really fun to watch. Yeah, I say the same thing about the Raiders.
You would say that about a run-first team? I'm only saying that because
Ashton Genty was must-see TV at Boise State. Like,
that is
I
true.
think Ashton Genty could come into the NFL and instantly become a top 5 running back.
That is facts.
Like Saquon, Gibbs, Bijan, Derrick Henry. I don't think he's passing those 4. Everybody else, I think, is fair game.
And look, when I just look at these run-first teams, like, okay, the Eagles, they were fun to watch because Saquon was breaking off a 50-yarder every game. But some of these other run-first teams were not really must-see TV like that. You know, Lamar, the Ravens have Lamar. Even Derrick Henry, like he was good, but he wasn't like must watch. Like I just feel like they're gonna be one of those teams that go under the radar. They're gonna go under the radar, and you're just gonna look up, and you're gonna be in like week 13 and be like, "Holy shit!" Like they won 8 games. Like they can make the playoffs.
Also, Geno Smith is just always must see TV. So
hey, you don't know what you're gonna. He could rip off a 40-yard run and not run again for the rest of the year.
You know, people call him a top 10 QB. I don't see that, but top 10 in entertainment value for sure. Sure.
Who knows what Pete Carroll can unlock with Geno, man.
So to recap, I have the exact same AFC playoff teams for the first time in NFL history. The same 7 from 2024 will be the same 7 in 2025. I have the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels missing the playoffs in 2025. And I have Baker Mayfield as your 2025 MVP. JaVon has the New England Patriots. A new era is now as they win the AFC East over Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. You have the Raiders making the playoffs. I'm blanking on the middle one right now. It's late for me.
It was Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott being a top 3 quarterback. Yeah, I just said the Cowboys too. I knew it was Cowboys. Dak Prescott is a top 3 statistical quarterback. So, you know, a Pro Bowl season from Dak on the way, and maybe even an All-Pro.
I mean, my honorable mention, I was thinking about saying the Rams are going to win the NFC, but we'll save that for another time. And I wasn't sure about that.
When I said Rams in the underrated teams category, I got some pushback. I think that there's a mixed bag of things on the Rams right now, which kind of makes any take on them not hot or cold. So I don't know.
That's why it would be a hot take, you know, because I thought they were underrated as well.
I agree with you, but the comments didn't agree with us. So
like what you mean they're projected to win their conference? They're projected to win their division. Like, are you sure about that? But okay.
That's why I said I agree with you, but the media did not agree with us. That, however, is our bold predictions. Next week, we are both going to be sharing our official AFC division predictions. The following week, NFC, then awards, and then the Wednesday before the NFL season is just our official playoff predictions. I think we're both going to go through our separate playoff brackets, give a Super Bowl winner, and then we're rolling.
Dude, we are close, man.
We record, peek behind the curtain here a week early. So tomorrow for us is the Hall of Fame game, and so we haven't seen that yet, but we are, after this video, me and you and the people watching, 4 videos away from NFL football.
Man.
Regular season at that.
Dude, I'm getting like goosebumps just thinking about it, bruh.
Yeah,
man, this is about to be a crazy season, man. And honestly, I want to hear your predictions about it too, because I already know what your AFC is going to look like. But NFC, I feel like could get a little bit spicy and controversial, because one thing people are crazy loyal to are the 49ers, and they're crazy to the Cowboys. And I know you're not going to have both of those teams making the playoffs in your predictions either. So,
to be announced.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you guys love the NFL. Be sure to check out JaVon's content, link in the description, and we will catch you guys next week for both of our official AFC regular season predictions. Peace out.
Sir.